Peace world, we are back. Apologies for that minor technical difficulties, but the show must go on. So my sister was talking about the benefits, impactful benefits of African traditional practices or religions, as you may say, that are beneficial for creating communities and family structure. Can you continue, my sister, with that?
Yes. So what I was saying was, I have a profound respect for African traditional religion because
Mm-hmm.
it connects you back to your ancestry for one,
Yeah.
and you understand the importance of why the ancestors, especially here in the diaspora, they created those um tradition, those religions, spiritual system,
Yeah.
right? And also you have a chance of account eldership, mentorship, right?
Yep.
You have the babalaos, right? You have the what you call the females, I think they call iyanafa. If I'm saying it right, is it iyanafa? I think.
I'm not too familiar with the term, but I know what you're talking about.
Yes. Right. So you have these elders, right?
Godfather, godparents, basically godmother,
Like,
godfather.
yeah, like godmother, godfather, yeah, sort of type
Yeah,
of thing. They take
yeah.
you under their leadership. They'll take you through the guidance and they give you the spiritual guidance, spiritual
Hmm.
education, right? But I also noticed that there are people that are abusing it
Oh
and
my,
using those as commercialism
oh
when
yeah,
they
talk
are
about
supposed
that.
to be very sacred. Now, I'm
Mm,
not an initiate at all, but I know people who are initiated, and I
yeah,
have studied about these things, and and I know that they are very sacred, and they should not be used for a commercial scheme or commercial purpose.
making money off it, exploiting people.
Exactly, right? That's something that should be confined within the community. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? For us, and by us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Right. To keep
Keep it
the
sacred.
tradition, right.
Hmm.
To keep the tradition going, to keep us connected. So, and continue to do the work of those ancestors.
Exactly.
Right.
So you're saying more of you know, more of a spiritual foundation will keep families together. You saying will hold it, like hold it.
Right. And not just keep the family together, but just basically give you a reason to want to transform your life.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because
That,
when you go through that, that's basically like Talib Kweli said it. Knowledge yourself is like life after death, right? So
mm,
you going through the transition of letting the old you go and the new you coming out. So it's like
definitely.
when you get baptized, right?
Yeah.
The old you has died, the new you is born.
Yeah.
So it's like the death and birth, basically, when
Mhm.
you get baptized.
Exactly.
And that's the same way when you get initiated. The process of death and the process of birth. So the old
Exactly.
you has died and the new you is born.
Exactly. Talk
You know
about
what
it.
I'm saying?
Talk
Yeah,
about
so the new you is born. You
it.
have you have been born into a different individual. You
Hmm.
have been born into now knowing your purpose and what is your goal in life.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know,
Definitely knowing your destiny, taking destiny in your own
yeah,
hands.
knowing your destiny. And then when you look at these orishas,
Hmm.
each of these orishas symbolize something in nature.
Yep.
You know, some of the orishas symbolize medicine.
Hmm.
Some of the orishas symbolize um protection, right? Some of the orishas symbolize water.
Hmm. The elements. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, those elements.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you're right. And and it's see like that. It's all connected. That family structure is so important,
yeah,
and every structure is important in every aspect of life. Every circle, every path, group,
right.
whatsoever. There's a structure that must be followed. That's the foundation right there. And as you said, That's the importance of family, and even in the spiritual family, you gotta have these godparents need to really do they due diligence. Hold your godchildren responsible. Guide them in their life. Don't support when they are falling. Like, don't encourage them to do the wrong thing.
Right.
Don't view them as commerce. And as you mentioned, because some of y'all do view these things as commerce. Your godchild could be running around here doing foolishness, and you will not correct them because you want to keep that bag coming in. You want to keep the funds coming in. No, hold them responsible.
Exactly.
Stick to the principles. Teach them the right from wrong.
Exactly.
Just don't get the money from them and encourage their nonsense. Like, you have a godchild that's on drugs, you're gonna encourage them like, oh, it's okay to smoke crack once in a while. Like, stuff like that. No, discipline. So
That's right.
I have another question for you.
Okay.
How have historical and contemporary discrimination practices affected the economic opportunities for Black families?
Well, hmm. Historical discrimination and what else did you ask?
Contemporary discrimination practices affected the economic opportunities for Black family.
Ooh. Well, we can look at institutional racism, right? Let's look at how the banks operate.
Mm,
Let's look
so-
at the banks. And let's look at we're gonna get into the housing part in a minute, but let's talk about the banks.
definitely.
All right. So there's plenty of people who have a hard time getting loans for house.
Mm, yeah,
And if they're qualified for loans, there may be a little bit more interest they have to pay,
yeah.
right?
Mm,
And
talk
then
about.
you have those who have to go to a credit union in order to build up their credit, right? So they can get qualified for certain loans,
Mm,
right? But then, yeah, it's a challenging of getting loans at certain places
yeah,
because of the interest.
interest rates, predatory loans, and stuff like that. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
yeah,
I can go so far as to talk about redlining, right?
yeah.
If you stay in an area that's redlining,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, that's going to be a challenge in itself.
Mm,
That's going to be a challenge in itself, right? And then get into housing. Now, there's I seen an article. It was some time ago where this black family they were trying to sell their home. They were trying to market their home of of for sale.
yeah.
So they were going through the process of the appraisal, right? However, the property value of the home went down,
Wow.
but they had their white counterparts, someone they was good friends with,
Mm-hmm.
one of their neighbors to, stand in front of the same house and take a picture. The property value went up.
Ah,
Yeah, the property
ah,
value went up. And there were people that was interested in buying the home.
that is
But
crazy.
when it was the black family, the property value went down.
I heard about that and I read something like that.
Yeah,
That started out, I believe, in Compton at one point, California. They were doing stuff like that. The whole redlining thing all over America. But I don't know. Compton was really affected by California because after the war, people were finding jobs
right,
in certain parts of Detroit because there was a high numbers of Black home ownership.
right.
And then that whole redlining thing, I'm like, that is crazy. And that's when they took away like resources from that neighborhood as far as like corporations that were there
Yeah,
were beginning to shut down. And that redlining thing is
yeah, but
yes,
redline been around for a long time.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been around for a long time. That's basically letting investors know that okay, this neighborhood, this area right here is very cheap, and you could be able to buy up this area so you could put more businesses over here. And the people that cannot afford to get better housing or
Mhm.
adequate resources, they're gonna have to move elsewhere.
So how can we how can our people like find a way to remove like to maneuver around that?
It's challenging because it's fixed.
Mm,
It's very challenging. It's gonna be very challenging. The only thing you can do if you have a decent paying job,
mhm.
right, and you're able to network with someone who can show you what areas you can stay in that is affordable for you and your family, and the neighborhood is not as violent, then you have a chance. But outside of that, to really try to get around it, it's very complicated. Because
Yeah,
then again, it goes back to the system in itself. It's very complicated to get around it.
yes.
So you will have to do what you can that is as far as survival is concerned, what can't you afford? You may have to move into an apartment complex,
Yeah,
right? Until you can be able to afford a house. You may have to
exactly.
move into one of the townhomes in the apartments.
Mhm.
And property rent is going up. So
Talk
you
about
gotta
it.
figure out, well, what can I afford here?
Yeah, definitely. Because a
Where
lot of
can I
people
afford to live?
looking for safety and better school districts
Exactly.
for their children and such. And you mentioned this earlier, like we got rappers that move into these nice neighborhoods, and somehow their homes are getting broken into, like to escape that element.
Oh, not just rapper. Mariah Carey,
Yeah.
her house got broken into out there in Sandy Springs. Yeah, she had a home in Sandy Springs, and they had broke into it.
Hmm. That's I don't know, man. It's looking like the Hunger Games out here every day. All
Yeah,
right,
see,
so
but what it is, and I'm these celebrities, they put themselves in that position because they show off all this accessory they have,
mhm,
all these valuable things. They show off the area, and the area is familiar. Like people might be familiar with those areas.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, and these kids done got intelligent.
Of course, of course, of
So
course.
they know where to go to get some money, to get some resources.
Exactly.
They know that, okay, this person got money over here. This person driving in a foreign car,
Yeah,
or the most expensive foreign car, rather. Because we all, I mean, over here in America, people drive foreign cars. Toyota is a foreign car. Kia is a foreign car.
of
But
course. All
anyway,
the high
yeah,
end joints. That
yeah, the high end cars. Yeah, that's why I meant to say the high end, the luxury
yeah,
car.
yeah.
They said, "Oh, this person driving a luxury car." Now you got people driving around in those little cyber trucks. I think they Tesla or something.
This
I don't
looks
know.
like a microwave, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Those little cyber trucks. So when they see somebody driving around in those cyber trucks, oh, they got money. Oh, okay, let's hit them up right there. That's who we need to get.
Yeah, man. Because people, it's desperation, survival.
Yeah,
People are
desperation.
people are. I mean, yeah, people are desperate. So I have another question for you, sis.
Okay.
How have changes in family law and custody decisions affected Black families?
I know you was gonna ask me about the criminal justice system.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Apologies. I apologize about that. I'm so tired. Forgive me, people. I'm tired. All right.
Okay, it's okay.
What is the impact of the criminal justice system on Black family structures and relationships?
Well, you look at the high incarceration rate amongst black men, and now
Yeah.
black women are starting to get at that level.
Yeah,
So, because there's a saying goes, when you go to jail, your family goes to jail with you.
that's a fact. Hmm.
So when you're incarcerated, your family is incarcerated because they're left to struggle.
Yeah, especially if
They're
you're the
left to
breadwinner.
right. They're left to try to figure it out on their own. Your kids are affected because they don't have the other parent around,
Hmm.
especially if you've gone away for 20 plus years,
Hmm.
right? And then we have to look at the unfairness of the system. There's people who are locked up for drugs such as
Yeah.
marijuana,
Victimless crimes. Yep.
right? Victimless crime. But then you have people over here who are pedophiles
And they walking.
and who are rapists. They are walking the streets. They
Hmm.
don't serve as much time compared to someone that's a drug dealer. Or
And
you have those who are murderers, right? Depending on what the crime they committed. Some of
mhm.
them are walking the streets because, and the reason is they let some of these people go because the overcrowded prison population.
Yeah, I believe.
So
Yeah.
it's okay, we're gonna let certain people go instead of letting go the ones that have committed a minor offense or something that is victimless, right?
Hmm.
They'll let go the ones that are a menace to society, such as a child molester.
Exactly.
And that child molester lives in a neighborhood around kids as long as they register as a sex offender. But that doesn't do it.
Yeah.
That doesn't really cut it.
Psychologically, something is off with that person.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. That doesn't necessarily cut it. That person could be registered as a sex offender, and guess what?
Hmm.
Something still can happen.
Exactly. And you said the impact of the criminal justice system, as you mentioned, like victimless crimes for drugs, people will sit for 5, 10 years, first offense whatsoever. And again, we're not
Right,
justifying crime, quote
right.
unquote crime, whatever. But we're just saying how things could be taken to the extreme when it goes back to the lack of resources and such. It's like that young boy from Brooklyn, I mean from pardon me, from Bronx, Khalif Broder. I don't know if you're familiar with that story.
Yes,
That
I
did
heard about his story. Yes, and that was sad.
and that was sad. Like, what happened to him was so disgusting. Like, he didn't do the crime. The average person who went in jail would have said, pleaded guilty, said, yes, I have done that. But he stood on his ground and said, I did not commit this crime. And his family couldn't bail him out for what, $900. So he ended up doing 3 years in prison, just going through the
Mm,
shuffling. And they come to show you how broken the system is. Like, your freedom, it will cost you your freedom. Like, you commit the crime, it costs you your freedom. To have your freedom, you must pay money. You understand? And this is
exactly, exactly. And then
and
there was another story of Daryl Hunt. I don't think you remember his story.
no, if you could, can you recall that story?
Well, actually, I could look him up, Daryl Hunt, real quick.
Go ahead. It's crazy the criminal justice system. Where I don't I
Yeah.
don't think.
So,
Go ahead.
Daryl Hunt, he passed away in 2016.
All
So
right,
his story goes like this. Let me show you the screen real quick. Post the screen up for you real quick.
I got you.
All right, so Daryl Hunt was an African American man from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, who in 1984 was wrongfully convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment for the rape and the murder of Darryl Sykes, a young white newspaper copy editor. After being convicted in that case, Hunt was tried in 1987 for the 1983 murder of Arthur Wilson, a 57-year-old black man of Winston-Salem. Both convictions were overturned on appeal in 1989. Hunt was tried again in the Wilson case in 1990, he was acquitted by an all-white jury. He was tried again on cites charges in 1991. He was convicted.
Mm,
And it says in 1994, the defense gained DNA testing of physical evidence in the cites case. This test was now available at the time of Hunt's trial in 1984. It shows that he could not have committed the rape, but a Forsyth County judge ruled that the DNA would not have been sufficient evidence to gain a acquittal, as he could still have been involved in the murder. Hunt was held in prison until 2004 when he was fully exonerated of the murder and released after serving 19 and a half years. His
yeah.
exoneration followed the confession by William E. Brown to the crimes. In 2003, a review of the state's database found that Brown's DNA matched that in Sykes' case, and in 2004, Hunt was formally exonerated.
So you mean to tell me a lot of brothers are
Yeah,
sitting
and
in?
then watch this. It says Daryl Hunt died in 2016 in Winston-Salem from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Friends had been worried about his mental health and possible depression.
See,
Yup.
so you see that criminal system, it destroys brothers, especially when you're in jail. Like, they don't know what takes place, as you mentioned. Like, your family does time with you. The conditions that the person's in, and the systemic institution of racism, because people get to conflate racism and prejudice. Prejudice, you just dislike a person, but racist, when you can control my where I can live, my freedom and such,
Mm-hmm.
that is very powerful. So this is why I always say, black people can be prejudiced, but if you can't determine where I can live, whether I work or not for a corporation, you hold no power. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but that's what it
Right.
is. So
Right. I mean, because people try to make it seem that black people are racist. And well, in order to be racist, you have to hold systemic power.
yeah, you could be
You know
you
what
could
I'm saying?
be prejudiced.
We don't have that type of power. We don't
No.
even have that type of social power to be racist. Now we can be prejudiced. We can be biased.
Hmm.
We can be very biased, but again, we don't have that status to have social power, economic power, and political power.
No.
Right? We are underprivileged.
You're still begging for rights out here. You get what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
We're still begging for rights. We're underprivileged. We
Hmm.
don't have that type of privilege to be racist.
Nah, but that's crazy because a lot of people are still sitting in prison from like the 60s and 70s
Right.
for crimes not committed, and
Exactly.
due to the fact that back then there was no such thing as DNA. So with the advancement, you could tell how there's like counting souls that probably died in prison or now seeing the light of day due to DNA. So this is something that needs to be fixed, man. And I think economically, our people, there are a lot more people that's making money, quote unquote,
Hmm.
people of color that's making money. The community, like, again, needs to start working together and realize that we need to get our together. You understand?
Right.
We need to get our families together and become more financially um educated on what's taking place. I'm
Yeah.
actually go ahead, what you were saying?
Yeah, I agree. Now I was waiting for you to ask, the other question.
Yeah, I'm actually the last question right here, sis.
Yeah.
How do policies related to child welfare and foster care impact black families?
well, well, um, when it comes to child welfare, right? Mm, I mean, we can go back to talk about the criminal justice system, how that destroys the family, and we could go back talking about economics,
Mm-hmm.
underemployment and unemployment. That
Mm-hmm.
that plays a hindrance on the child welfare. Education, of
Yeah.
course, we can go back on that because education has it has the way to bring about a positive or a negative effect on the child. Um, yeah, we can talk about that. When the child have does not come from a functional environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their attitude on life shows that they don't see values. They don't see values in themselves. They don't see values in they don't see a value in the world. They feel like this is what
Mm,
it is and this is how it's going to be.
exactly.
That's why children use imagination for a reason.
Escapism.
Right, escapism.
Yeah.
Children are very creative because it's a way for them to escape from this reality they dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way for them to escape from, especially if they grew up in an abusive household.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they grew up in an environment where they have little to no contact with the outside world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they looking for escapism. They
A lot.
looking a way to get away from what is currently taking place around them.
Yeah.
They're wondering and they're hoping they will find something better or somebody is going to come and rescue them.
Yeah.
Now, this
That,
goes into the foster care system. And I know people who was raised in the foster care system. And
yeah.
my mother was a foster kid.
Okay.
My mother, yeah, she was a foster kid. Okay. Those children, they are seriously impacted and they suffer heavily when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
They suffer a lot because they had to endure so much abuse. They
Mm.
go from household to household and they become, what is it called, a welfare check kid or something like that. I think that's the
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
where the foster parents take them in just for a check.
Yeah.
So they're seen as a paycheck and not as a human being.
No actual love there.
Right, no actual love.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I could tell you stories from what people have told me. They grew up in an abusive foster care system in group homes where they was picked on by other kids, beat
Mm.
up, sexually violated by the staffs, beat up by the staffs. Then you have staff members that don't care,
Mm-mm.
and then the foster parents is torturing them,
I
right,
see.
making them feel like they are outsiders,
I
and then
seen
they
cases.
allow the kids, yeah, allow their children to pick on them, make fun of them because they are nothing more than an outsider in their
Exactly.
eyes. So, and they grow up and become broken adults because they never had a family foundation.
Yeah.
They never had a foundation. They never know what it's like to have a family that really love them and care about them. That knows how to embrace them with love. I can give you an example. I was watching the interview with the rapper. I think she's from Brooklyn, Scarlett.
Oh, she from the Bronx. Exactly, the Bronx.
Okay, she's from the
Yeah.
Bronx. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Scarlett, her story, wow. When I tell you, if you watch her interviews,
Mm-hmm.
you might as well just go ahead and grab a tissue because you about to start crying. You about to get emotional because her story
Mm-hmm.
is like, the story of an average child who grew up in a broken home, who grew up in the system. She was that kid. She grew up
Wow.
in a broken home. She grew up in the system. Her mother passed away when she was 12 years old. Yeah, her mother was hit by a car.
Damn.
And
No.
her father wasn't really around as much.
Hmm.
Yeah, her father wasn't around. She was staying with her aunt. And that aunt was very counterproductive. She had a
Yeah.
boyfriend, a living boyfriend, that was violating her niece.
And she allowed it. She tolerated
Yeah,
it.
yeah, she allowed it. She went to her aunt and told her about it, but the aunt didn't believe her.
Of course, because she's looking at it as I gotta protect mom. You try and take my man. Yo, I want to say something to hold your thought. To any woman out there that support that condones that, if your child comes to you and say that I am being violated and you do nothing about it, and you just say maybe you did something, you're sick in the head, and may a bullet part your forehead. You understand? And to what Tiffany's saying to the children that's in these foster care systems, I hope that you grow up and become successful. Because I don't know how a parent could abandon their child. And to the mothers or fathers out there that's trying to keep a child away from a parent, may a bullet part your head as well. I'm sorry, because there's too many broken families out there that we continue to add on to the fuel that's destroying our people. This is why we have young children out here running around crazy because they out of their minds. There's no
Right,
discipline. Go ahead,
right,
carry on, sister. I just had to get that out, man.
right.
I'm sorry about that.
There was a movie with Tati, what's her name? Tiana Taylor. It's
I
called
think
it's called 1001 or
I
something like
seen
that.
that movie. Yo, what was that about?
Okay, so her
Yo,
character, right? Her character name is Inez. So
yeah,
Inez seen a little boy that she knew. She familiar with him,
yeah, I remember
right?
that.
And I can't remember the little boy's name, but she seen him on the street corner one day,
Yeah.
and she took him off the street. Now he
Yeah.
was a foster kid, right? He was supposed to be in a foster care system, but he was on the street just wandering around. And so
Mm,
she looked at him. She was like, "Do you remember me? Do you know who I am? I'm not gonna let you go," because she had just got out of jail.
yeah.
And so, the little boy, and she asked him, she said, "Are they treat you well in your new foster home?" And he was like, "No."
Yeah. I
So she
remember.
took him in and she raised him. Now, all this time he thought that was his biological mother. And
Hmm.
come to find out she wasn't. She wasn't
Yeah.
his biological mom.
That threw
But
me off.
because yeah, but because she's been through that herself, she know what it's like to come from a broken family. She wanted to save that little boy's life.
Hmm.
So when he got older and he became a teenager, right? And also she had gotten into a relationship with this guy who was a drug dealer, but he
Yeah.
had transformed his life. So they got married, whatnot. So, and I guess her whole thing was to get him to see what it's like to have a family,
Yeah.
right? And get him prepared for the world the best way she knew how. But either way it goes, however, um, so the social workers came in, right, to the house. They came by the house because I guess he was trying to go to college and he
Yeah.
couldn't because he didn't have the right social security number and his name was not the name that was on the paperwork
Yeah.
at
Birth
school.
certificate. I remember.
Yep. So the social worker came by the house and um basically told her that what you did was illegal. And they had to break the news to him like that's not your biological mother. What she did, she took you away from the system. She kidnapped you.
Yeah.
That's what she did. And so he didn't know. He was like, "What?" He's like, "I thought this was my mama all that time." And then that's what she had to tell him the truth. And she explained to him why she did that.
Yo.
So once she explained to him why, that's when he was like, what, it doesn't really matter because all this time you was my mother. That you all that I know. So he appreciated her. And so she basically told him that, well, you have to go on and live your life. I did my
Mhm.
part.
Yeah.
You know,
Unconditional love right there. So,
yeah, it was unconditional love.
and we need to do that. Like people, we need to save these children and even some of these adults with mental health. Because to sum it up, what this show was about, it's the trauma,
Yeah,
accountability of Black families.
yeah.
We really have to be um, vigilant, and we really gotta do our research, and work together. That's just one thing we have to do is work together. Put aside your nonsense, the BS, your disagreements, and learn to work together for the bigger goal. Because day by day, I'm looking at it, it's getting worse.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So we have to do better. And with that being said, Tiffany, I appreciate you, sister.
Thank you.
It's always an honor to have you on here.
Thank you for having me on.
And you always bring the realness, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you, people, for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. And see you next time.
All right then. All right then. Peace, 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 peace. Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you
Peace.
for having me here.
All the time, sis.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Love, man.
All right.
Wow.
All right.